All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm really glad you're here, whether you're joining live or catching this on replay. Um, as we're getting closer to Christmas, the day before Christmas Eve, um, I want to start by naming something that often goes unspoken through the holidays. Christmas carries a lot of expectations. We're supposed to be joyful. We're supposed to be grateful. We're supposed to be at peace. Excuse me, getting just a couple things done here, really. Make sure we don't get interrupted. All right. All right. We're supposed to be connected. So, joyful, grateful, at peace, and connected. How does that work for everybody usually? For a lot of people, especially people in recovery, that just isn't the reality. Now, maybe you're the exception. Maybe you're that person that experiences all those good qualities and characteristics every Christmas. I'm just saying, for me, it doesn't always work that way. The holidays have a way of amplifying what's already there in the background. Loneliness gets louder. Regret shows up more clearly. Grief and longing can surface at the holidays in ways that we just can't ignore anymore, ways that have to be dealt with and have to be faced. So, tonight, I want to talk about recovery on Christmas week and the idea that you're allowed to be honest through the holidays, even on Christmas Eve, even on Christmas Day. We don't have to perform, we don't have to pretend, and we don't have to feel a certain way for Christmas to count. I had somebody shoot me a message yesterday or the day before. They sent me a text. Man, I hate the holidays. My question is, do you really hate the holidays? You know, Christmas is about the birth of Christ, salvation come to save us from our sins. And I'd say most people don't object to that. Most people, whether they're religious or not, don't have a real issue with that idea. What they have a problem with are the feelings that they experience during the holidays. Again, loneliness, regret, maybe guilt or shame. If the holidays are hard for you, that doesn't mean that recovery isn't working. In many cases, excuse me, in many cases, if the holidays are hard for us, what that actually means is that we're more aware, that we're more present, and we're more honest than we've ever been before. Have you ever tried to fake it through the holidays? Put on that false smile, pretend like everything's great. Have you ever done that? I've tried that. It didn't work well for me. At some point, I ended up frustrated and angry, and I usually made a scene. That happens for many of us. So, why are the holidays hard in recovery? Holidays stir things up. Family systems come back online. For a lot of us, there are certain family members that we're just not around regularly. And there's a reason for that. We may be avoiding them. It may be that we just don't get along, but we're expected to at the holidays. Family systems come back online. If you were the oldest, or you were the youngest, or you were the one in the middle, and those feelings that were associated with those roles that played out in the family. You were the disappointment. You were the one who was expected to do more. You're the one that they expect to cause a problem. These systems come back online and these old roles get activated. And expectations, spoken and unspoken, start pressing in. Expectations are a dangerous thing. Unrealistic expectations cause resentments. What was it Bill W. said? Expectations are the birthplace or the breeding ground of resentment. Have you ever experienced that? Whether it's expectations you're placing on somebody else or expectations that somebody is placing on you. For a lot of us, holidays also highlight what's missing. People we're not with, relationships that are strained or broken, consequences from choices that we made in the past. Years ago, when my daughters were young, my grandmother passed away on Christmas Eve. And that's a feeling that comes back to the surface again. We had gotten together on Christmas Eve. We had the family get together. My grandmother was there. She seemed to me not be feeling her best. And she left and drove herself home back in town. She was supposed to call and let us know when she arrived, and we didn't get that phone call. My uncle and I headed in town to check on her and found her. She had made it into the house and she had passed. And those feelings get stirred up again as Christmas rolls around. Now, here's something important. Addiction, for many of us, often functioned as a way to escape all that. Our addiction helped us to numb out those feelings that we didn't know how to hold, that we didn't know how to process. So when we remove the substance or the behavior, those emotions don't disappear anymore. They don't get covered up. They come to the surface. What do we do then? Well, first of all, when those emotions come to the surface, that doesn't mean that something's wrong. It means that something real is happening. Recovery doesn't make us less emotional. Recovery makes us more emotionally aware. And that can feel unsettling, especially during the holidays. Now, I want to be honest with you tonight about my own Christmas experience and what Christmas is like for me. For me, Christmas is a complicated thing. It's not an easy thing. I'm divorced. My daughters and my grandchildren are scattered across the country. Indianapolis, Florida, St. Louis. I have one daughter and a grandson that's still here local, just right up the road. Because of my addiction and the harm that I caused during my addiction, I don't get the opportunity to see one of my children at all through the holidays, Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I haven't seen her through the holidays for years. That's not because what she's doing is wrong. It's because of the harm that I caused with my addiction. And I have to be honest about that. And I am being honest about that. Even in years past, after my divorce, we went through that time where We alternated on holidays. One year, I would get my kids on the holiday. The next year, my ex-wife would get the kids on the holiday. That wasn't ideal for anybody. And then we went through a period where I allowed my ex-wife to have the kids on the holidays, and I would do something the weekend after or the day after. And then I went to prison for a couple of years, and I didn't get to see the kids through those holidays at all. Those kind of things are painful. And Christmas Eve, Christmas week has a way of bringing that pain closer to the surface. For the last several years, my kids and grandkids come in on a weekend between Thanksgiving and Christmas, celebrate with their mother. I get to see some of them. Some I don't get to see that weekend just because things are so busy. And that can be hard. That can be difficult. Recovery doesn't ask me to deny that reality. It doesn't ask me to pretend like everything's fine. It doesn't ask me to minimize or spiritually bypass it. Recovery asks me to stay present with it without numbing, without spiraling, and without pretending that it doesn't matter. And those are all things that I've done in the past. And I'm sometimes still tempted to do today. Now, I see your comment there, Blast. Holidays are hard for you also. The majority of your family is dead. It's the same with me. I have one great aunt that's still alive, or one aunt that's still alive, my mom's youngest sister. Other than that, I'm the old man now in the family. There's not anybody older than me. Everybody else is gone. Recovery doesn't ask us to deny that pain or that uncomfortableness that's present there. And on top of that, recovery doesn't erase the consequences of my past behavior. I told you, I have a daughter that I haven't seen on the holidays in years, about 15 years since I got out of prison. That's not because of anything she's doing wrong or anything she's done wrong. That's a consequence of the pain and the harm that I caused in my active addiction. And I take responsibility for that. Some losses are real, things like death. Blast, you mentioned that. And some doors in life just remained closed, at least for now. And learning to live honestly with that is a part of healing. Holding sometimes two opposite or opposing feelings at the same time. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced a sense of joy and a sense of sadness all at the same time? For me, that's common during the holidays. That's one of the most important things that recovery has taught me, is that we are capable, all of us are capable of experiencing multiple and even opposing feelings all at the same time. Great joy and intense gladness or grief. I can feel regret and I can feel hope, both at exactly the same time. I can miss what I've lost, and at the exact same time, I can appreciate what I have today. That's possible for us. For a long time, I thought that uncomfortable emotions meant that something was wrong in me, that I needed to fix that I needed to run from that kind of a feeling. I needed to drown uncomfortable emotions and feelings. I needed to drown them out. And addiction became my solution for that internal tension. Recovery, on the other hand, teaches me something dramatically different. Recovery teaches me that feelings are not failures. Feelings are information. And learning to hold my feelings honestly without acting them out or judging ourselves is one of the deepest parts of recovery. We don't have to choose between being sad and being thankful. Both can be true at the exact same time. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that that feels great, because it usually doesn't. But it feels real. And it's a part of being alive. While I allow myself to experience and to feel the pain and the regret that surface during the season, I also choose to name the things that I'm thankful for. For instance, I'm thankful for sobriety. I'm thankful for clarity. In sobriety, I experience a sense of clarity that I had not known for the vast majority of my life. I'm thankful for the relationships that are healing. I shared that a daughter hasn't been with me on the holidays since I went to prison for my addiction. There's another daughter that I was separated from prior to going to prison. But it was after my prison time and after entering recovery that my relationship with her was restored. I can experience thankfulness for that, for the relationships that are healing. I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have to live differently today than I did in the past. I'll be honest with you. There were times in my active addiction when I looked forward to the holidays, but when the holidays showed up, I didn't know how to experience and process those holidays. And so I looked for a chance to escape, to get away, and to act out in my addiction. Gratitude doesn't require denial. Gratitude doesn't mean that I have to pretend that everything today is okay. That'd be a lie in my life. It simply means that I can be willing to acknowledge what's good alongside what still hurts. And there are things that still hurt. And while making that acknowledgement that there's good and that there are things that still hurt, I can pray for restoration. Not as something that I'm owed, not as a demand, but as a hope. And I'm going to tell you, hope for me is in the process of becoming the most important thing in my life. Hope. And I'm able to experience hope today because of the hope that I've experienced from the past that I have seen fulfilled. Recovery invites humility. It reminds us that faithfulness today matters, even when outcomes are uncertain. I don't know that next Christmas is going to be better than this Christmas. I don't know that this year is going to be better than this past year. I have hope for that. I pray for that. But I recognize that I still have things to be thankful for, things to appreciate, things to recognize as good in my life. I know you're here, Blas. You have things to be thankful for in your life. All of us do. There's not a person that's going to watch this video live tonight or on one of the replays. There's not any of us that don't have something we can be thankful for. We all have things, blessings in our life in the present. So what's a practical tool we can use during the holidays? I want to offer you a simple tool that you can use tonight or you can use over the next few days. It's a check-in that I recommend a lot in recovery. And if you've listened to me much, you've heard me recommend this check-in before. It's 4 questions, 4 simple questions. Thankful for your business, Blas. I saw that picture you posted today, man, that award that you won. That's a big deal, brother. Gratitude, man. God's blessing on you. So here's the 4 questions that I recommend for a check-in. If you've heard me, you've heard them before. What am I feeling? What are the feelings that I'm experiencing? And I encourage you to be honest. There are feelings that we normally think of as good. There are feelings that we normally think of as bad. All of them have a gift if we're able to press into them and process them in a healthy way. What am I feeling? What are you feeling? What am I thinking? What's going on in my head? What am I doing? That includes things like, where have I been? Who have I been around? And then what am I thinking about doing? What's on my mind about the future? I want to encourage you as you do this check-in, don't judge your answers. Don't think to yourself, oh, that's a bad answer, or that's a good answer, or that's a right answer, or that's a wrong answer. It's not about judging our answers to the questions. It's about being able to slow down and to take notice of them, to pay attention to what's going on in our life. This kind of check-in slows us down and it helps us to respond instead of reacting. And during the holidays, it can be a powerful way to stay grounded and to stay connected. So, whether you're here tonight live or whether you're watching this on a replay, I want you to think about what I'm saying tonight. Blas, you've already put something in the comments that you're thankful for, but I want to challenge each of you that watch this video. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. The next day is Christmas Day. Maybe you're going to spend time with family and friends. Maybe you don't have family and friends to spend time with. But I want to challenge you that you do have something to be thankful for. You have a reason for gratitude in your life. And I want to challenge you here tonight, or as you watch one of the replays, I want to challenge you to place in the comments, what is something that you can recognize that you can be thankful for? I have a lot to be thankful for. There was a time when I struggled to find anything that I'd be thankful for. When I was arrested, it was immediately after the holidays, immediately after Christmas, and I was arrested. I spent two holiday seasons locked away. And there was a time during that period when I thought life was over. Today, I can recognize that it wasn't. Today, I can look back and see things that I had to be thankful for, even during that hardest of times in my life. And because of those things that I've experienced, those things that I'm grateful for, that gives me hope for the future. That gives me reason to believe that even more restoration can take place. I'm thankful today that, man, I'm thankful for my sobriety. I'm thankful that today my sobriety is measured in years, not in minutes or not in seconds. And there have been times in my past when I measured my sobriety in minutes or in seconds because I knew I wasn't going to make it long. I'm thankful today for the friends and the community that I have around me. It's only been in recovery that I have experienced real community, that I've been able to find a place where I can be open and honest, where I have people that I can trust to share my feelings with, to share my struggles with. And I know they're able to hold those things and to walk through those things with me. Just last night, I met with a group of about 10 men. We're all on this journey together. And we met at the home of one of them. We all brought dishes. The guy who hosted us in his home last night baked hams. 2 of them, not just one, but 2. He baked hams. We had good food. We had good fellowship. We played games together. We laughed. We talked about where we've been in our struggles and in our pain. We talked about struggle and pain that's present in our lives still today. And we talked about the blessings and the gratitude that we have for the restoration that we're experiencing. We encouraged one another. We lifted one another up. We hugged. There was a time in my life when I would have never hugged another guy. Well, we were real. And that group of men has become my safe place where I can be open and honest without fear of shame and without fear of judgment. I spoke to my oldest daughter last night. She lives up the road. And it was late, but I swung by her house last night. Saw her. let her know that I loved her. I got a hug. Hugs again. I do have to say, though, that hug from my daughter, man, it was a lot better than the guys that I was in the meeting with last night, even though their hugs were good too. Tomorrow, I am leaving for St. Louis. I'm going to visit my daughter, my son-in-law, and 3 of my grandkids that are out there. You know, I was thinking about waiting. My daughter has to work tomorrow, and she's going to have to work again on Friday. And I was thinking I have to get a room when I go out there. I have to get a hotel room. I'm not able to stay with them when I go out. I spend all day long with them when I'm there, but I can't spend the night there when I go out. And I have to get a room, and that can be expensive. And I was thinking to myself, I'll wait and I'll go out on Friday. Come back on Sunday. I just won't be there Wednesday and Thursday, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And then in a video that they sent to me that a couple nights ago, they were in the back seat of their mom's van, and they reminded me that the reason that I'm coming to St. Louis isn't to see their mama. I'm coming to see them, and they expect me to be there. They gave me joy. They gave me gratitude. It gave me something to be thankful for. I recently, on that weekend when my girls were in town, their mother was doing their family Christmas get together. And on that Sunday evening and on the day Monday, my second daughter, who lives in Florida, was in town, and we got together. And we spent time together, me and my daughter and her boyfriend. We hung out, we hugged, we talked. She's on this recovery journey too. A different struggle than what I've faced, a different addiction than what I've ever had. But we understand each other, and we're able to relate because we both are on that recovery journey. My heart felt joy. Thanksgiving. I remember being with her when she was in active addiction. And man, I'm thankful. That's another thing that I have to be thankful for. We all have reasons to be thankful. We all have reasons to have hope. Here's the thing about Christmas. Christmas was never about everything being right in the world. It wasn't. It wasn't about perfect families. It wasn't about restored relationships or pain-free lives. The story, the Christmas story, begins with no room. It begins with uncertainty. It begins with a whole people group that were in subjection to another country. It begins with a vulnerability. It begins with waiting and longing. People weren't happy. They weren't comfortable and content with where they were at. They were hoping and praying for deliverance. It's not about peaceful times. It's about a longing for peace on earth. Christmas was never about peace in the present. Christmas is about God coming into the world before it was fixed, right in the middle of its brokenness. He entered into a broken world, into a broken system, into a place where people were hurting, where people were not content. But he entered with a purpose. God entered into our world to give us hope for the future. And God is in our world today. He's in your world today to give you hope for the future. To give you hope. And that's good news for those of us in recovery. For those of you who are new to recovery. For those of you who have been in recovery but you're continuing to struggle. Maybe you've recently had a relapse. You've recently acted out in some way. I would challenge you. Find an old timer. Find somebody who's been living in sobriety and ask them, what was recovery like for you early on? You're going to hear the same stories. You're going to hear about struggles. You're going to hear about relapse. You're going to hear about fear and about pain. And you're going to hear about hope. You're going to hear about community, strength found in community, encouragement found in community, comfort found in community. And you're going to hear about how those struggles, how those uncomfortable times led that old timer to that place where they're at today. And you need to hear that that's a place that you're going to be able to experience. There's a day when somebody's going to look at you and they're going to ask, how did you make it through? How did you get to where you're at? And you're going to smile and you're going to look back and you're going to say, it wasn't easy. Things weren't smooth. There was struggle and there was pain. There was relapse. But there was hope. And there was community. And I kept moving forward one day at a time. We have reason for hope. Hope doesn't depend on everything being resolved tonight. Hope means that we can be honest about what's broken in our lives. We can be faithful in how we live today. And we can trust that restoration is possible. If Christmas is hard for you this year, and I know it is hard for some of you, there are parts of Christmas that are still hard for me. If Christmas is hard for you this year, that doesn't mean that you're failing. That doesn't mean that you're not doing things right. If you're feeling gratitude and grief at the same time, that doesn't mean you're broken. If all you do over these next couple days is stay sober, stay honest, stay connected in small ways, that's enough. We work through things one day at a time. Well, what's that old saying? It's about progress and not about perfection. And that's a good thing, because I will never be perfect, and neither will you. Sometimes the most faithful thing we can do is just tell the truth. Tell the truth about what we're feeling. Tell the truth about what we're experiencing. Tell the truth about the pain and the struggle we're experiencing in this present. When life's hard, we tell the truth. And we keep going. We keep moving forward. You might say, but all it seems like is I take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's still progress. That's still growth. That's still something for you to be thankful for. I'm going to end a little bit early tonight. I want to thank you for being here tonight. If you're watching this on the replay, I thank you for watching. I know the vast majority of you are watching these on the replay, and I appreciate that. If what you've heard tonight has resonated in some way, if it's spoken to you, what I really want you to hang on to is that the holiday season doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to be happy. We don't have to be joyful. Honestly, we don't even have to get along with everybody. But what I want to challenge you to is I want to challenge you to be honest with yourself, to be honest about what you're feeling and what you're experiencing. Find somebody that you can be honest with, somebody that you can trust with this part of your story, and keep pressing forward. Take that next step. You can do this. If this has resonated with you, feel free to like, to follow, feel free to share. And if you need support, don't do this alone. There are still meetings that are taking place, in-person meetings, online meetings. Reach out. Make connection. We were never meant to do this alone. Again, that's the story of Christmas. God telling us, you don't have to do this alone. I've come to do this with you. Let me leave you with a question tonight. What would honesty look like for you this evening? What are you feeling? Where are you struggling? But also, what are you grateful for? Where are you thankful? Where can you identify growth? You can do this. That's the message of the holiday season. You can do this, and you don't have to do it alone. God came to see to it that you don't have to do this alone. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I'll be back here next week to wish you a Happy New Year. Look for a place to make connection. Look for a place where you can be real. And I'll see you next week. Merry Christmas.